My Life Between Lives story from Newton-trained Institute practitioners.
I see a whole change in the thrust of searching for answers about who we are and why we're here. And I think it's wonderful, and I just hope the movement continues to expand.
Let us expand the universal consciousness together with a My Life Between Lives story presented by the Michael Newton Institute.
Welcome to My LBL Story. My name is Ekomananda. Today we have special guest, Millie Diericx. Millie has been an energy therapist and hypnotherapist for the past 25 years. Her journey began with searching for alternative methods after conventional treatment for lupus failed. Traditional medicine only alleviated the symptoms with side effects, motivating her searching for effective healing techniques, which she now offers to others. Her journey led her gaining a master's in Ericksonian psychotherapy, specializing in past life regression, life between lives therapy, and quantum consciousness, exploring the deeper mind and searching for spiritual clarity. She later pursued a PhD degree in thanatology, focusing on grief processing. Recently, she has also been participated in Bill Bennett's documentary film, Facing Fear, alongside experts like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton. These days, Millie employs the Konscio Method, integrating her lifetime knowledge to enhance the consciousness and the well-being of others. A big warm welcome to Millie. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you, Ekomananda, for having me.
To those who are not open to this energetic healing method, our consciousness expansion, life between life therapy, past life stuff, all of this, what do you see the reason behind this scenario? I mean, we are aware, we are becoming more open each day, the world is opening up and shifting. But do you see any reasoning behind those who are not open?
One word: fear. Fear keeps us in the known, and people who are very fearful of the unknown just tend to deny it. It's just, no, I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to do anything. Please don't move my reality, because if you tell me that what I thought is not the truth or the whole truth, then my whole world crumbles, and I can't have that. So it's the ego, and it's the fear of the ego not letting people see anything beyond themselves.
Now we talk about everything happens has a purpose. Is there a purpose for that person to experience such fear?
Probably to be able to overcome it. Like me having the illness. If I hadn't overcome the illness, it wouldn't be such a journey, it wouldn't be such a lesson for me. It would probably just, if I had been always healthy, I could maybe be an alternative therapist, but I would never really understand from the core. So when you're completely blind and you're very fearful and you're completely in the ego, and then you have this consciousness expansion, or you open your mind, it's such a change. And then the lesson really comes home. And as we have seen in the world of the spirit, that's what the soul came here for. It came to have all these experiences to learn. But to really learn, you have to really learn from the body, from every aspect and every dimension. So I think that that's the purpose. That's why we are born, and we forget everything we already knew. And we just come as a clean slate, and we have to relearn everything to see how many lessons really are so learned, like core lessons. Because there are things that you don't forget. Everybody comes with a gift, and that gift is a well-learned lesson of the soul. And no matter where you put that person, that lesson will be always there. Like, I don't know, a Mozart. who at 3 years old presented with a piano can play the piano. Only somebody whose soul has already mastered music in many lifetimes, I think.
Thank you for the beautiful reminder that all this negative emotion that we experience, the purpose is to overcome it. And how easy we can just simply be blind and forgot about that true purpose to overcome it.
Yeah, to go beyond ourselves and our egos and our problems. We love drama. Oh, humans, we love drama. It's just like ingrained in us. So if we don't have it in our lives, we go looking for it outside. Just incredible.
That's very true. People love drama and becoming attached to the stories. So we encourage people to really look beyond this body and mind.
And we'll get there.
We are doing bit by bit, everybody from different part of the world. We are sharing this oneness energy and hopefully helping those who are interested, who are curious about this energetic healing, this consciousness expansion to get to know a bit more and to open that to light a little bit more so that you can suffer less. Yes.
Even if just a little bit.
Even just a little bit, yes, that little bit counts to your well-being and to the whole universe's well-being. I wanted to go back to focus on your term, the wounded healer. Now, this is such a profound or important aspect that is happening in the spiritual community around the world. I wonder what wisdom you could share with those wounded healer. And sometimes I see them that they even fear to come forward to receive healing.
Exactly. But the wounded healer, I mean, the archetype is Chiron, the wounded healer. You remember the story. He was wounded with a arrow from a different army when they were in the war, and he went and healed other people that were wounded too. But he knew what they were suffering because he was wounded too. And that wound never closed. For Chiron, it never closed. So he was always suffering the pain of that wound. And that's why he could be empathetic. And empathy comes from understanding the pain of others through your own pain. It's impossible to understand anybody else's pain if you haven't suffered anything of the sort. For example, I'm a thanatologist too, as you said, and thanatology is the relationship between people and death. So if I had never lost anybody or had a near-death experience, how could I understand death and the pain that the other person is going through? It's impossible until you lose somebody or you die, and then you can give them that perspective about life. I can tell you, when I died, it was just the most beautiful and peaceful and loving experience I have ever had. And I still remember it so clearly because it was so strong. So I have never been afraid of death after that experience because I've already been there and I know nothing happens. But when somebody loses a person that they loved, they feel that they actually lost them. And now we know from LBL and from all this that you never lose anybody. We're all one in the first place. And then the spirit goes on and they're there. They're just in the other room or in another form, but they're still there and they're still looking at us and they're still waiting for us and they're still taking care of us. And if we can connect to them, they can even send messages because they're in another floor of the building. That's the way I see it. We're in the bottom floor because we only see three-dimensional reality, and they're in the penthouse. So from there, they can see much more. So when we can connect to the penthouse, have a phone and call them, and they can give us so much clarity and understanding. And they're still there. So when the person that lost somebody can understand this, the pain goes away because it's just like, they're still here. They're just in the other room and you can always call them. Oh, then that pain goes away because it's the pain of thinking that they're actually gone forever, that they disappeared, that you will never see them again or feel them again. And we know that's not true. To be able to say that to people and to bring them that knowledge. But if I hadn't gone through it, I wouldn't be so sure as I am, you know? it's a concept.
Yes, we truly have to experience the method of a self and receiving, delivering. And each session is an enlightening experience. You're being repetitively reminded that this true reality beyond this physical world.
We are. And I think for that, we are so privileged, don't you? Just to be able to be there while people see these realities and just hear them go into these dimensions and worlds is just awe-inspiring. I love what I do.
Yes, it is. It's beyond the privilege. Privilege is the human term that we can barely describe where we stand and be constantly reminded. I remember this saying, everybody brings us love. It's truly mirrored through the therapeutic work that we do. When the spirit guides, whoever that might be, speaking to us through the client's voice, I truly experience that unconditional love as we impart and sharing that core message through whatever technique that we are helping with clients. It's such a wonderful joy.
It is.
Yes. So the wound of the healer actually serves the healing purpose or the healer's purpose.
Yes. And it also serves the connection to the other. Because if I hurt here, I can understand you're hurt there. It connects us from the heart. I can really understand you if I can feel the same thing as you, as empathy. As empaths, that most of us in this work are empaths, we can feel what the other person is feeling. So you understand them from that deep understanding, not just in your mind, not as a concept, but in your core being. And I think the other person gets that. They feel understood and they feel listened to and they feel seen. And just that is very healing. Just knowing that the person you're talking to is understanding you deeply from their core being, I think it's half of the healing, actually, because you establish that connection.
The rapport, but most importantly is the trust established between the therapist and the client or the subject, and then the person felt being heard, being understood.
Exactly, and that's what being the wounded healer gives you. It gives you the humility and the actual experience of the pain to be able to connect to the other person deeply and from the heart, not just from the mind.
So for those who are watching this now, respect and honor that the wound that you carry and face it. There's no need to fear because it's a gift.
It is a gift. And you have to actually accept it and be thankful for it because your soul asked for that wound. It asked to understand that because if not, you wouldn't have had that experience. So this beautiful soul that's complete and beautiful and magnificent decided to go into that body to have that experience of that wound, to understand that and be able to connect. And what I have seen in some cases that is really like the example that I want to give people, if you permit me, is like, for example, a person that I know that lost a son to cancer. And I can't think of a bigger pain than losing a son to cancer. And he was a little boy. And she took that pain and she decided to invest her time and her money into an organization for children with cancer. So that's taking the pain that you feel and investing it in helping others that are suffering the same thing. And she also conducts groups for the parents of these kids to be able to understand. But she does it from, I know what it feels like. I've lost a son to cancer. I know what you're going through. And she does it with such grace and beauty that the other parents start to accept the conditions of their sons as the purpose of their souls because they chose that condition too. I know it's really hard to hear, but for a reason or for a purpose, that soul chose that experience, and they chose those parents. And those parents have to accept the choice of their son or their daughter. So she does it in a way that transmits that privilege or blessing to the parents to say, you are privileged to accompany this soul who is living this very hard experience at a very young age, because they're usually very old souls that are just, finishing with their karma or whatever. And being there for that beautiful soul, that the soul is not a baby. The soul is complete and infinite and absolute. That chose that experience is actually a privilege. And she just opens the eyes of these parents, of these grieving parents, from grief to acceptance, to feeling honored to accompany that beautiful soul in their journey. Some of the kids get well and some of the kids die. But imagine the change of perspective in that, from, oh no, tragedy, I'm suffering through this, and it must be the most horrible thing. Fortunately, that wasn't my journey. My journey was in my own body. But imagine the change of perspective for a grieving parent to be able to think that way. Changes the whole experience.
Yes. Transforms lives from that moment onward. Once they grasp this sense of purpose and change the experience, live life totally different, being able to embrace that loss and transform it into a blessing, helping others, helping themselves.
Exactly. And that's exactly what she did by getting the clarity of what was the purpose of her losing her son to cancer. Instead of living in the tragedy, which she could have done, just stay in the tragedy of, I lost my son and I'm going to grieve forever. She decided to give it that purpose and give it that change and that reframe and help others going through the same experience. But she wouldn't have been able to do that if she hadn't felt that pain herself, because other parents would say, yeah, it's easy for you to say, but you've never had this. You've never felt this. But she says, no, I have here. That's my son. He's gone now. He's in the other side. And he's talking to me from there. Actually, she made the connection because, as a soul, when you're in the soul world, you make the connection to the other souls. You talk to them. So she did that, and her son told the story of the purpose of the illness and everything. So she came back and she said, yes, I lost my son, but he's fine. He's there. He's a beautiful soul. And we lived this together. We decided to live this together so that I could help you come to terms with your situation. For me, it was amazing to hear that story.
Absolutely. I can imagine how healing that would be for the mother and for so many of people out there and still struggling and trying to make sense of life, of, losing a loved ones.
Exactly. And I found that out through thanatology, and that's how I connected with this person. And then through LBL, she got the clarity, she got the message, she got the connection with the son, and she decided to do this in her life. Just beautiful.
Amazing stories. And you mentioned that you received multiple LBL sessions. Are they all different to one another?
Completely different to one another. It's incredible. The only thing that they have in common is my guide. My guide is always there, and he always meets me in the same beautiful garden. I usually meet him in this. It's a beautiful garden with a bench, and he's usually sitting in the bench waiting for me. But every time the experience is completely different. From there, we go like everywhere. And in the last one, actually, the last experience I had with my guide was during the World Conference in Barcelona. And we were practicing on one another. This new person, this student, was giving a session to me. We realized that my guide, whom I had never known this before, was actually Saint Francis of Assisi. And I had always seen him in this brown robe. And I always thought it was a joke because I'm not a religious person, I have to say. So I always said, it's a joke. And he had, the bald spot there and the robe and everything. And on this session, she said, I think, are you St. Francis? And he goes like, yeah, caught me. You can call me whatever name, but yes. And that was so amazing to me. And this was just now in Barcelona in September. So that was really cool. And I've known this guide for years.
I know. So some of the experiences happening in our own healing session, like we as a subject receive a healing session from others, it continuously to amaze us and brings that out, wow, that moment. Aha. Well, that's something that even us, we don't know about ourselves.
Exactly. And every experience has been different, and they usually build on each other. Like the first one was just like an introduction to the spirit world and getting the clarity of the illness. That was the whole purpose of the first LBL, the one with Paul. And then a lot of more clarity about me and about my relationships and about my family and all these things when I could get to the core issue. In the second LBL, I got the clarity about why that family that had all those problems. And in the third one was with Savarna. You know Savarna? Savarna
So
in California.
one of the colleagues.
Yeah.
I don't know her in person. I might have seen her name in the group chat.
In the group. Yeah, well, she's an adorable soul. She's just such a sweet soul. And with her, it was so profound. So very profound about myself. And I even got to source. In that one, I went all the way back to source. And I remember her saying, "Oh, you're being sourced," as if this was a verb when I went back to the source energy. And that was just an incredible experience. And then in the conference, I realized that my guide was St. Francis, which I didn't know before. So they're all very different and they're all a great adventure.
Keep on receiving LBL, keep on experiencing LBL, and keep on giving LBL, and all of them are just continuously fascinating and opening us more expansion and connection. Be the light continuously shining.
Exactly. That's our job. That's why we're here. That's why Michael's books are calling us. We're being called to this work.
Yes, we're being called to do this. And if you're watching this, then you're being called to listen to our conversation and explore LBL.
Exactly. And probably have a session yourself and realize that you're this beautiful, magnificent soul in the other side and that you chose this life for a reason.
Yes, I'm sure if those who eventually receive an LBL from the beginning moment, they're full of a doubt to truly being able to experience the source energy or the higher self, spiritual guide, whatever that you name it. You're never going to regret it.
Never. And what I truly want to say to people that are thinking about this is the clarity you get after an LBL session is compared to nothing. I remember waking up from my first one saying like, "Oh, I get it now." Like everything was crystal clear. Everything, why I had gotten sick, my life, who I was, everything was just like mind-bogglingly crystal clear. And that clarity is worth gold.
Yes, and that clarity stays with you as in the vibration has been shifted. You now vibrate here, and you stay there, and then you continue to expand, explore, and go higher. It's just magnificent and
Yeah,
mind.
because you can never unknow what you now know. So if you know now, you know now. You cannot unknow or unsee what you have known and seen. So of course you go from there.
That's it. This is no one. We know this bit. We know this bit. So the outside unknown world is all outside of this known world. So recently, I heard someone said, so he's not open to such energy healing, and he's suffering from some sort of condition. But I did not approach because I have to respect where he is. He says, what you don't know cannot hurt you. So I wanted to say to those people who share the same mentalities, what you don't know can heal you.
Exactly. And maybe the healing, as in my case, is in the unknown. Usually it is for most people, because if in here you are sick, you are missing a piece, because you, as we all, have the capacity to heal. We do.
Exactly.
Our bodies can do this given the right conditions. And one of the conditions it needs is knowing, is having the clarity of knowing that it can do this. And to be able to know this, you need to know that you're more than your body. Because you cannot get you cannot get a different result doing the same thing. I think Einstein said this, that craziness meant doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you're still from the same little mentality and from the same belief system, and you're trying to heal, well, it doesn't work. You have to shift that mentality. And this work shifts your mentality because it gives you that clarity and that expansion. So yes, the healing is on the other side. Sorry.
The healing is on the other side. Oh, you don't have to be sorry. I think that's fantastic that we are letting people know that we don't know everything. And I like that what you said. If the body is suffering, experiencing some sort of a symptom, conditions, pain, whatsoever, that there's a missing puzzle here. There's a missing piece here. And go explore, grab that missing piece from the unknown one and put it back to the body, and you get healed.
Exactly. And then you heal, because it's an incomplete puzzle.
Amazing, amazing sharing, and I'm experiencing this consciousness, speaks to consciousness, which is an internal dialogue that creates so much sparks that helps others to heal as well. Now, as being a therapist, that you have been in the industry for 25 years and healing the self from Lotus, that remarkable story, as in you now being the light of God, helping others, or the light of life. Yeah. What role do you see in LBL therapy and the light workers play on lifting humans' consciousness or Earth's consciousness?